Okay, look for the observe icon after you've downloaded it from the App Store, and I'm pointing at the observe icon. I'm going to tap it, and the first thing that you will notice is just a sort of welcoming screen that moved quickly over to a password screen. Now, I've already created a password, but you will be prompted at the beginning of your download to create a password for yourself. We do that for security reasons. If later you want to bypass the password, you will be able to do that. So I'm going to punch in my password, which is 1221, submit it, and the first thing you'll see is the client screen. And we have three examples on the client screen. Hyperactive Hal, we were looking at fidgeting, and we were looking at distractions. So one of the things you can do with Observe Prime is you can record more than one target behavior, and we have non-compliant norm as well. I'm going to tap on Hyperactive Hal and make sure you do the correct tap. And what I now have is the sessions that I have recorded for Hyperactive Hal. If you look at the bottom of the screen here, you'll see that I'm looking at a target behavior called fidgeting. And I'm going to show you what happens when you want to go ahead and take a look at something that you've already recorded. So I'm going to tap on this top one, and what we have here is the observation I did on 1/3/2012 at 4:27 p.m. You can see the length of the observation. You can see some of the data that we've collected. For example, 63% of this observation, Hyperactive Hal was fidgeting, and the rate per minute was 2. We also have the duration of his fidgeting, and we can see the range of his fidgeting and the average duration, which is 0.31 minutes. Also, we have noted where the location is, and that was in the office. I can press the chart that was created from this table, and I'm taken to the chart for that particular observation. And you can see on the left-hand side is the percentage of fidgeting. I can go to rate per minute count and duration as well. So on the left is the data from this particular observation, and on the right-hand side is the running average. So I can compare this observation with the running average. If I take this screen and turn it to the landscape mode, you will see a chart and a graph, and the graph tracks every observation I've done of Hyperactive Hal's fidgeting. So this is a very valuable screen because what it does is it tracks the individual data from each observation, and if you can see the green line, that is the running average. This can be used for assessment, also can be used for a behavior management plan to see the trajectory of the behavior. So I'm going to move it back to the chart, and then I'm going to go back to the client screen and show you what I do if I want to create a new observation for Hyperactive Hal. So what I do is I hit New up in the top right-hand corner, and what that takes me to is the data screen. And I'm going to do a 1-minute observation, so I hit plus there. Sorry, I'm using my left hand here. Okay, I'm going to do a minute. I can change the office location if I want to, but right now the observation is in the office, and I'm going to start the observation. I want to point out that in order to start the observation, you must indicate whether the behavior is occurring or not before you hit the start button. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at Hyperactive Hal fidgeting, and he's not. So I'm going to start hitting no, and then I hit start. And you can see how the no button is emphasized, and and you can see the countdown up at the top of the 1 minute observation. Whoops, there he goes, he's fidgeting, so I just tap yes, and what we have here are the number of seconds devoted to yes, the number of seconds devoted to no. You can see the yes seconds are starting to build because he's fidgeting, and he continues. And now he is back at work, and so I hit the no button, and he's apparently back at work, but we're tracking fidgeting. As long as he's not fidgeting, it doesn't matter what else he's doing, we will hit no. Whoops, there he goes again, he's fidgeting. So I hit the yes button, and he continues to fidget. And one of the things you'll notice is that it's counting down, and when it counts down to the minute that we had set aside, it automatically goes to the table. And if we look at the table, you'll see that we have our date and time that we did this observation. It was 1 minute. We can look at the table, and it says that 53% of the time he was fidgeting, and 47% of the time of this observation he wasn't. The rate per minute count for fidgeting was 2, and the average duration for his fidgeting was 0.26 minutes. Now, what I want to do this time is I want to mail this to myself because I want to print it out. So in the upper right hand corner, there's a mail button. So I hit the mail button, and the mail button takes me to a screen where I can put whatever email address I would like. And when I put that address down and hit the send button, it will send it to that address. So that's very easy to get information out and print it. I'm going to go back to I'm going to save the draft, but I'm going to go back to the table. But now I want to see what these data look like in chart view. So I'm going to hit the chart button, and you're going to see this observation. And here it is on the left-hand side. You'll see the percentages, 53% versus 47%. But you're also going to see the running average for hyperactive Hal's fidgeting. And he's looks like his running average is a little less than this particular observation. That's why you must do more than one observation. We can look at his rate per minute count, and there it is 2, but his average rate per minute count looks like it's less than 1. So this is very good information for you to keep. Again, I can mail it. I can mail these charts, and of course I can do the graph, and I can show you just how that running average is. And it looks like his fidgeting is increasing according to these data, which is very important. It means that something's going on and we need to investigate it. So I'm going to go back to the chart, and then I'm going to go to a couple of earlier screens to show you what happens when we want to create a new client. So when we want to create a new client, we hit new, and we get a client screen, and we hit the button, and we're going to do Al. Okay, so there's Al, and the target behavior for Al is well, we'll call him verbal negative, which is talking out. Sorry. We'll call that verbal. So we're going to do, sorry, can't spell. So we're calling that verbal negative, and we're just not going to, we can put the age in, but we're not going to do that right now. I'm just going to hit the save button. And if you go back to the clients list, there he appears. So I'm going to tap on Al, and you can see that there were no previous sessions. Verbal negative is what we're doing. If we've made a mistake or want to change things, we can hit delete. If we want to save some notes, we have a note screen. Just tap on it, and you will get a screen. We can put our definitions there. We can do whatever we want to describe what verbal negative is. So I'm going to get out of that screen and go back to... Okay, so we're going to start a new session, and what we do is simply hit the new button, and we'll go to the data entry screen. So we hit, again, I'll just do a minute. I can hit the location, and we can say that that's home, and we're done with that. And so I wait for Al to engage in verbal negative behavior when I start, and he isn't, so I hit the no button, hit the start, and it starts counting. And so as I'm watching him, he makes a rude remark to another student, so I hit the yes button, and it was very quick, and he stops and he gets back to work, so I hit no. And he makes, in my definition of verbal negative, a grunting noise. Rude noises would also be verbal negative, so he's starting to make grunting noises and sounds with his mouth, and disrupting other students with those noises, and he continues to do that. And the teacher tells him that he needs to stop what he's doing, and so he does briefly. So he's not engaging in it anymore. But then he begins to make noises again. So he's grunting and making noises. And so we're going to just finish the observation, and we can see that we're now in the table. And again, it tells us when we did it, what time we did it. We can see that he made rude noises 48% of the time, and the average duration of the rude noise was 0.16 minutes. We can mail that information to our computer or to any desktop. We can then move to look at the chart that is created, and there is the chart. Since this is the first observation of verbal for Al, the individual session data and the running average data will be exactly the same. And just one comment, when you just do the first observation, you really can't go to the graph. The graph isn't going to show you anything. You need to do at least 2 observations before the graph will give you any information. So this is the first of our sessions on how to get up and running. I think you can get started in 10 minutes or less. Thanks.